Welcome to lab number 3, configure distributed file systems. In this lab, we're going to install a distributed file system, create a folder for DFS replication, and verify DFS replication. Let me bring up our lab setup for this particular lab. We have our domain controller, domain member 2, our standalone server, workstation 1, Windows 8, and workstation 2, Windows 7. So in this exercise, we're going to install distributed file system. Distributed file system gives the administrator the capability to consolidate shared folders coming from different servers into an unified file system. Users will just connect to DFS Namespace, and the server will redirect the user to the server that owns the resources when changing from one folder to another. So in this exercise, we're going to install DFS on both the domain member server 1 and 2 in the practicelabs.com domain. So right now we're in our domain controller. We're going to switch over to our plab DM01 member server. All right, so now we're in plab DM01. We're in server manager. So let's go to dashboard, add roles and features. Next, we're selecting a role-based or feature-based installation. Next, notice that select a server from a server pool is selected, and notice that our server is highlighted here. Let's click next. Let's open up file and storage services, then file and iSCSI services. Scroll down and select DFS namespaces. Accept these additional services. We're going to select DFS replication as well, then click next. We're going to click next here and install. And close. So our next exercise, we're going to add plab DM02 to the Practice Labs domain. Let's log on to that device. All right, we're now inside of plab DM02. As you can see, it is a workgroup device. I'm going to run PowerShell as an administrator. So I typed in the command to save time on the video. It's asking me for the admin password. I'll go ahead and key that in. Let's take a look at Server Manager. As you can see, it now shows plab DM02 as a member of the practicelabs.com domain. We're going to create a new folder in the C drive. Let's right click it, choose Properties, Sharing, Advanced Sharing. We're going to share this folder, and we're going to add some special permissions to it. Everyone's already selected. We're going to click on Full Control. We're going to click OK and OK. The server does require a restart. We'll go to PowerShell and issue the shutdown command. All right, so we've reconnected to PLAB DM02. We're going to open up PowerShell and run it as an administrator, of course, in order to install DFS on this machine. All right, so DFS has been installed, and the command was add Windows feature fs dfs-namespace, fs DFS replication, include management tools. DFS replication. So in this exercise, we're going to create two folders that will be used for DFS replication. Replication of folders ensures that fault tolerance and performance enhancements when folders are accessed by a large number of users. So our first task is to verify the firewall rules for DFS replication. We're going to switch over to our domain controller. So now we're back in PLAB DC01. We're going to open up network and sharing. Then open the Windows Firewall link. Let's click on Allow an app or feature through Windows Firewall. And we need to verify if a couple of apps are checked and allowed. So the first one we're looking for is file and printer sharing, and it's allowed across the board. Next one we're looking for is Windows Management Instrumentation, that's allowed. Windows Remote Management, that is allowed, and Windows Remote Management Compatibility is allowed. So our check is successful here. We'll go ahead and click OK. And we could go ahead and close Windows Firewall. In task 2, we're going to configure the DFS namespace. We're going to set this up in PLAB DM01, so we'll go ahead and switch over to that machine. We are now back in PLAB DM01. So the namespace is the root or starting point of your DSF infrastructure, where you can attach shared folders from other file servers in your network. Let's get started. So on Server Manager, let's go to Tools and DFS Management. Let's expand namespaces. Right mouse click and choose New Namespace. This one we're going to name it PLAB DM01. Next. On the namespace and settings, we'll call it Work Data. Next. This is going to be domain based, so what that means is a domain-based namespace is stored on one or more namespace servers in Active Directory domain services. We'll go ahead and click Next on that, and we'll go ahead and create it. All right, it has been created. Let's close out of this. And we have our first namespace created. Right now we're going to go ahead and add the shared folders to PLAB DM. So right now let's right mouse click, select New Folder. The new folder name, we'll call it SW, and it's going to be this particular folder. If we go back into our domain member server on PLAB DC, it's going to be this following folder. So let's go back to the domain member, and we'll click on Add to Share, and that share name is going to be our domain controller, PLAB DC01, and the share SW. Let's go ahead and add that. We'll go ahead and click add again. And the second folder we're going to add, the target, that's going to be on our second domain member, so plabdm02, and the folder is SW2. I'm just going to double check it because sometimes the folder is not there. Okay, so we're in the DM02. Let's click on the C drive and the SW2 folder is there. Okay, so let's go back to plabdm01. We'll click OK on this. And we'll click OK again. And we'll accept the prompts. The system's creating the namespaces. We're going to change the name to the replication group name to Practice Labs DFS SW. And we'll go ahead and click next. We'll leave the defaults on the replication eligibility page and click next. For the primary member on the drop down, we'll select plabdc01 and click next. For the replication, we're going to leave the default full mesh and click next. Bandwidth, we'll leave full bandwidth default and click next, and then create. Our folder replication has been created. The wizard's done. Let's close out of this and click OK to this. Task 4, DFS Diagnostic Reports. So we're going to go to Replication. We're going to expand that. Let's click on Practice Labs, DFS SW. Then on the Actions pane on the right, let's click on Create Diagnostics Report. On the report type, we'll leave the default of Health Report. Generates a report that shows the health, replication, and efficiency. Let's click on Next. We'll keep the defaults for the paths. Next. And the members to include, our members have been automatically added. That's plabdc and plabdm01. Let's click Next. On the options page, we have Yes created here for the backlog files. It's default selected. We'll click on Next and we'll click on Create. All right, so our report is generated. And here's our report. Let's go ahead and expand our servers. plabdc01 and plabdm02. And our report shows no errors on plabdc01, no errors on plabdm02. And we could actually physically verify that these folders have been replicated. If we switch over to plabdm02 and open up the SW2 folder, notice that we have new files there. Let's head back to plabdm01, exercise 3, verify DFS Replica. Let's go back to DFS management. We have Practice Labs DFS SW already selected. In the details pane, let's click on replicated folders. And this shows our replicated folder of SW. So with that said, if we go to plabdc, we're on plabdc. If we click inside the SW folder, we will see 3 files, a 7-zip, WinZip 9, WinZip 10. That's in plabdc. Now, in plabdm, our replicated folder is SW. So now, if we go to plabdm02, we're in plabdm02 right now. And if we click in our folder SW2, we have the same 3 files. Task 2, configure DFS replication bandwidth. So let's go back to our PLAB DM machine. Right mouse click on Practice Labs and select Properties. Let's click on Edit Schedule. We're going to base the schedule on Universal Coordinated Time. Let's click on Monday. And we'll change the bandwidth to 64 megabits per second. Click OK. And click OK again. Task 3, connect to DFS from Windows 8. So we're going to switch to our Windows 8 box. We're going to map the work data folder . Let's go ahead and click Finish. And our folder open. Let's take a look inside the folder. And we find our 3 familiar files. Be sure to like, share, and comment. Thank you for watching this video.